wireless Logitech Circle 2 under HomeKit. I'll show you how to do just that next. Welcome and thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel and you're interested in Apple's HomeKit smart home platform and general Apple related tech, please do me a huge favor by subscribing and tapping the bell to get notified as to when I post new content. And of course, if you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know that I've taken a look at the wired version of the Logitech Circle 2. The Circle 2 was the first camera out of the gate with HomeKit Secure video support, and I'll post links to that video and my general review in the comments below or somewhere up here. Well, unfortunately, one of my cameras went on the fritz and no one carries the wired Circle 2, the only version officially compatible with HomeKit. I contacted Logitech support and they offered to replace my Circle 2, but they also didn't have the wired version in stock and weren't expecting any more in. So instead, they sent me out the wireless version and informed me that if I just took the camera element from the version they were sending me and attached it to the existing wired mount, which I still had, it would work under HomeKit with no problems. I took them up on their offer, and at the suggestion of one of my viewers, shout out to Will, and some online research, I was able to get the wireless version working under HomeKit with a simple hack using electrical tape. So let's go ahead and unbox the wireless Circle 2 and get it working under HomeKit. So here we have the Logitech Circle 2 indoor-outdoor security camera, and this is the wireless version. And the wireless version out of the box is not compatible with HomeKit, but we will be doing a simple hack to bring this wireless version into HomeKit, although there are a few caveats with using it this way. Now, if we take a look at the box, it's essentially the same camera, 1080p, it's weather resistant, weatherproof, 180-degree ultra wide lens, and that's one thing I really like about the Circle 2 is 180-degree view, and 3-month battery life on the battery, although we won't be using it that way. And I'll explain that later. On the side of the box, if you have this camera and you want to use it under HomeKit, it also works with the window mount, which will be plugged into power. The plug mount, same as that, and the rechargeable battery, which we can use, but not under HomeKit, unfortunately. So the reason I picked up this camera, well, I didn't actually pick it up. I had an older wired camera that had some errors when I converted to HomeKit Secure video, and it wouldn't restart correctly. So Logitech sent this out to me because they have no more wired Circle 2s in stock and they don't plan on getting them restocked. So this was all they had in stock, and they told me if I use this with my wired mount, I could use this as a HomeKit camera. But I thought there is a hack so that we can enable the wired free under HomeKit, so let's take a look at that. So let's go ahead and unbox this and see what comes with the battery powered Circle 2. Similar packaging. Here is the battery and the mount they include. USB wire for charging, power adapter, and this is for the plug. So this goes into here for when you need to charge. And I'd imagine for other regions they'd have different plugs. This is for North America. And your hardware for mounting. And here we have the camera itself. I have the old one that they are replacing, and these units specifically are the same. They're essentially the same. And the only thing that's different is the covering. So to enable this under HomeKit, the first thing we have to do is find the HomeKit code. So here's the camera, and we're going to need the HomeKit code from this camera. In order to find that, we're going to have to remove the plastic sheath that this is in. And we'll do that by pushing the camera out towards the front. And here you'll find a lot of etched information, MAC address, the serial number, and most importantly for us anyway, is the setup code, which is right about here. And that setup code is the HomeKit setup code. So I'll note this and write it down and record it so that I know what that code is, because we'll be using it later to set it up in HomeKit under the Home app. So I'll go ahead and put this back. And when putting this back in, you want to note that there is a dot here, and that coincides with there's a little mechanism here to depress this button, the reset button. So when you put this back, just note that you want this reset button to line up with this dot when you put it back. And it also ensures that the speakers are lined up with the open speaker slot here. So now that it's back in there, let's go ahead and take out the battery and take a look at the mount. So this is the battery for the wired version of the Logitech Circle 2. And I have my old wired mount, which I may be using for this replacement, but let's take a look at the pins. So if we look at the wired mount, there are 2 pins here. And if you're familiar with how the Circle 2 mounts, the wired or the wireless, is you see the contact areas on the back. So this spins on there, and then these pins make contact with one of these circles, outer circles. So if we compare the 2 mounts, we see kind of a similar pattern here. So these 2 pins are similar to these 2 pins here. Let me see if I can get that closer. Hope it focuses. And if we go in a circular motion, we see that these 2 pins likely line up with these 2 pins. So when you put the camera on, these 2 pins and those 2 pins seem to contact the same area. Now this last pin here, let me set this down. This last pin here on this one, you see 2 sets, you see 3 sets. So 2 pins here, a single pin there, and then 3 pins here. And again, this last pin here is what detects whether it's a battery mount or a wired mount. So we want to make this camera believe it is on a wired mount so that it will enable HomeKit. And in order to do that, we'll just do a simple hack and we'll cover this last pin here that detects if it's a battery mount. And we'll do that with some electrical tape. So since that's a small area to cover, just need a bit of electrical tape. And we'll take electrical tape and we'll cover up this last pin. And there, as you can see, I have the electrical tape covering the last pin. Hopefully the camera's capturing that and it's in focus. So once that's covered, this camera, or whichever camera is attached to this, will believe it's a wired camera. So let's go ahead and spin this on here. Line up the lines there, and then just spin it on to attach it. And there it is, and this should be able to be compatible with HomeKit now. And on the back of the battery here is the covering that hides the USB port where we'll plug it in to charge. So let's go ahead and plug this in and let's run through setup. And actually for our usage, we will need to keep this plugged in. Now the camera's on. Let's point it towards the Apple there. So let's go ahead and run through setup. We'll open up the Logi Circle app. And as you can see on my setup, I have 2 cameras offline, and those are HomeKit Secure Video. I haven't converted the front camera to HomeKit Secure Video yet. So we're going to go under Add a Camera. And we are going to set up, although this was a wire-free version, I'm going to choose a Circle 2 wired, because since we covered that pin, this believes it is a wired HomeKit camera. I'm going to click Next. And an alert on the camera means it's recognized. And name the camera, so I'm just going to name this, I'm just going to name it wireless camera for now. And after typing the password, joining now, and firmware updating, don't unplug your camera. So there's a firmware update for this camera, and we'll go ahead and let it run through that. And setup is done, and we're going to click Go to Live View, and there it is. That is the wireless camera, and the next thing we want to do is add this camera into HomeKit because it's replacing a HomeKit Secure camera. So we'll go down here to Smart Home Integrations, Apple HomeKit, enable Apple HomeKit Wireless Circle 2. Check that. Then we're going to click Launch Apple Home App. And under Apple Home App, we are going to choose Add Accessory. And I don't have a code or cannot scan on the bottom because we don't have a code to scan on this one. And we see the Logi Circle camera already listed. So we're going to go ahead and type in manually the code that I noted on the back of this camera. So the code's typed in. Now it says Logi Circle added. A little confirmation tone from the camera itself. I believe I'm going to put this in the living room where we do not have a camera yet to monitor that. And exposed under HomeKit is the Logi Circle camera and the motion detector on the camera. And yes, I want to include this in favorites. So I'm going to click Done. And there it is in the Home app. And there we have the Logi Circle 2 wireless under HomeKit. And I can convert this to HomeKit Secure Video as well, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. If you want to see my HomeKit Secure Video under the Circle 2 cameras, I'll post a link to a video somewhere up here or in the description or in the description below. So you can take a look at that, how to set that up and how that looks like under HomeKit. But for now, we have this camera under HomeKit, and I can enable HomeKit Secure Video for this camera as well. So this camera will also function off the battery as a wireless, and we'll confirm that by unplugging it, as a wireless camera. So it's unplugged, and as you can see, it's still available under HomeKit. Now, I can use this for short times like this if needed. So as a wireless Logi Circle 2 camera under HomeKit, the battery in here will only last for 12 hours. And 12 hours isn't a whole lot of time to monitor anything. So that is why we do need to keep it plugged in, so that the battery is always charged and there's always power supplied to the camera. Now, if you don't use HomeKit at all, then you should be fine. You should get, I believe it's 3 months out of just the battery alone. But under HomeKit, the battery drains really quick and will only last 12 hours or so. So as you can see, this was a dead simple modification using only a small sliver of electrical tape. And now the Wireless Circle 2 also works under HomeKit. Again, if using only battery power, the cameras will only have enough juice for about 12 hours of operation. So keeping it plugged into power is not only suggested, but necessary if using it under HomeKit. Wireless Circle 2s are still readily available online, so if you want one for use under HomeKit, this could be a solution. These work great indoors, but keep in mind that since it needs to remain plugged in to power via the USB wire, there won't be adequate weather seal for outdoor use. So if you intend to use it outdoors, I'd recommend only placing them under covered areas free of precipitation. For me, in my relatively Southern California climate, it shouldn't be a problem, but your mileage may vary. So if, like me, you need to replace a Circle 2 or want more for your HomeKit home, this could be an option. Now, if you're just starting out with security cameras under HomeKit, I suggest looking for existing options like ones from Eufy, Netatmo, or Arlo. Since the Circle 2 seems to be end-of-lifed, it will be interesting to see if Logitech brings a Circle 3 to market and if they fully support HomeKit and HomeKit Secure video with the new camera like they did for the Circle 2. I certainly hope so, and if they do, hopefully I can get my hands on them so I can do a full review in the future. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you found the information useful, and until the next one, please take care and be safe out there.